On the 10 show, when it comes to keeping a journal, you have the right stuff. The author of Note to Self explains how a diary can help you let it out and let it go.
Question to ask you.
But wait a minute, before you ask me that question, I want you to see this. After hours and hours, I got the piece of jewelry undone.
He so didn't.
And now it's around her neck.
It took 3 people. Terry, Colin, thank you so much, our floor director, and Jane.
And guess who got it in the end?
Jane.
Oh, I thought you did it.
No, Jane.
Okay.
All right, okay. So anyway, forget my question because we've taken up too much time. If you find yourself bottling everything inside from stress to gossip and you just need a way to get it all out, what better place to turn than to your trusted journal?
For those of you who keep journals, we have an expert. Samara O'Shea, author of Note to Self, is here with some tips on turning a diary into a new best friend.
You know, this is something where when I was a young person, my mom said, keep a journal, keep a journal, keep a journal.
My mom too.
Did she tell you that?
Yes.
It seems like nowadays, though, when I tell that to my nieces and nephews, we're on the computer. We don't have time.
Do you think it's a girl thing, though? Is a journal a girl thing, like, you know, Dear Diary?
No, absolutely not. I know a lot of men who keep journals.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think they keep it in a different way. I think girls have flowers on their journals and men sort of have the leather-bound
exactly.
cover. But other than that, I think...
How do you get young people interested in journal writing, though? Have you thought of that?
I think it's something I started journaling when I was 15, and it just, you know, in the age of teenage angst, you just need a place to put your stuff, all your extra baggage, and it comes very naturally in that way.
Do you think a journal sounds more formal than diary? You say Dear Diary, it's kind of like you share all your secrets. Journal, to me, sounds a little more formal, like I should spell
Like we'd be writing the note to you?
Yeah, like I should spell right.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. Diary sounds more, the two, I mean, they mean the exact same thing. Diary sounds a little bit more teenage-ish, and journal sounds more mature. I think that's what we just tell ourselves, well, I'm an adult now, I'm keeping a journal.
Yes.
I like that.
The interesting thing is you've got some great tips to help people become a good journal writer.
Yes.
And the first tip is what? You say just kind of say anything, right? Don't even censor yourself.
Exactly. Well, I think what keeps a lot of people from keeping a journal is they think there's a way to do it. They think I have to do it every day and I have to write the events of the day, and that's not true at all. You do it whenever you want. I mean, sometimes 6 months go by and I don't touch my journal, but I know it's always there for me. And I rarely write about the events of the day. I write about how I'm feeling, what's going on inside me. So you can write, you can make up your own language, you can write a song, you know, your journal needs to be whatever you want it to be.
Now you have this book out, okay? Is this kind of like a journal of a journal?
Well, it is an ode to journaling. So there are tips in it, and there are a lot of my own personal journal entries that I include in there, as well as the journal entries of some notorious diarists like Anne Frank, Anais Nin. John Wilkes Booth actually kept a diary.
Well,
Interesting. 12 days that he was on the run after assassinating President Lincoln, he wrote in a diary.
Go ahead.
I love it that you talk about a sense of self, because you talk about kind of the reason why you wrote this, and you put that in the entries that some of them, you were actually trying to figure yourself out, how you felt about you, the idea of you, how I look, about what I do, about what I don't, and me in relation to others, which I think is a reason why a lot of people do turn to a journal, is kind of self-reflection, figuring out who I am, my purpose in the world.
I don't think that's something that's emphasized enough. We all have a relationship with ourselves, and it's kind of overlooked. We focus so much on our relationship with other people. Sometimes you just have to stop and be honest with yourself and figure out who you are and what you want out of life. And
you have some pretty honest stuff in here. I mean, we're talking, so we praised, rubbed, and feasted on each, and it's pretty good stuff in here. It caught my eye on page 110.
All right.
Yeah.
You got Terry interested.
That's part of the relationship you have with yourself.
Exactly.
And here you did some modeling, sans clothes, with no clothes on, and you talk about that. Now,
that experience.
Which gets us to the point of we're talking personal things, but we're kind of going public with this kind of stuff. Is that something you have to worry about or know going in, that when you write a journal, other people may find out about your own personal beings and feelings?
Other people may find out. I'm a writer, so it's my job to put myself on display. But people who shouldn't be afraid to keep a journal for that reason. You know, you can keep an online journal and have a passcode so that no one else can find it if you live with somebody you think might go snooping. There are certainly ways to keep it absolutely secret.
And you say write in a stream of consciousness.
Yes, and that is just sort of, it reminds me of, do you remember magnetic poetry that you would have on your fridge and you would just put together nonsense?
I did it the other day.
Sentences. Well, you just sort of write you know, recklessly, and you just say,
Sure.
you know, whatever you have to say, and what you're doing is you'll notice themes, and you'll reveal to yourself thoughts that you didn't even know you were thinking.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's sort of like dumping your purse out
And you say you should
seeing what's
ask
at the
yourself,
bottom.
ask yourself how you're feeling. Like, be interactive with your journal. I mean, you're not just blah. Ask yourself questions to kind of get to it.
Is there some therapy here? Do you feel better doing this, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. There's therapy in the moment, and I think in the long run, when you look back and you can chart your progress as a person.
Yeah. And other things too, you say that a good idea is to copy quotes that you hear that you want to remember.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, there's a quote, an Art Garfunkel quote, that has come through for me again and again. I copied into my journal. Everything worth doing starts with being afraid. And I love reading
love
that.
that.
Yes. And that, I mean, a new job, a new relationship, or leaving a job, or leaving a relationship. I mean, that quote is really a powerful one.
That is so good. That's my favorite quote of the day so far, Samara.
And a lot of times in someone else's words, you see yourself. And that's why it's good to copy quotes. You'll see your own thoughts and opinions reflected.
And you also say that you should give yourself time.
Yes, I mean, you know, we always expect instant results, you know, in our world of fast food and fast communication. And this is a process. Getting to know yourself does not happen overnight, you know, so you shouldn't expect instant results.
Yeah, can I ask the audience a question? How many people in the audience have kept a journal as a young person or keep one now? Any hands? And how many people who didn't wish that they had kept a journal? Anybody who said, gee, I wish I would have, but I really didn't? Okay, so we had maybe half a dozen to a dozen journal keepers and 3 or 4 others who wish they had. Okay.
Yes. Well, I always have a journal guilt because I'll write once and then it'll be 7 months and then I'll write again for a few weeks.
Don't feel guilty.
But I don't have to do that anymore.
No, don't feel guilty. If you only write, you know, every New Year's Eve, you'll say, oh, that's my New Year's resolution to keep a journal, and you only write one or two entries a year. Keep doing that. I mean, because then at 20 years, you'll have a little record of yourself.
I feel totally liberated now. Samara O'Shea, author of Note to Self. And you actually have an event Friday, July 25th at 7 o'clock. You can head to the gallery there.
Yeah, Philadelphia Art Alliance, down on
Alliance.
South Street.
And we can come and, of course, talk to you.
Yes.
And get your book and get it signed as well. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.